Everybody come and catch the show. You want dad jokes, they got plenty of those. So relax and listen on as Dev and Kyle start the apocalypse.
Spicy.
Yeah. Dev's back, everybody.
I didn't lose my job to a robot.
You did not.
A British robot.
Well, actually, it's the most important time to say this. Welcome to Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse. We're back to having Dev and Kyle start the apocalypse. You did not lose your job to a robot.
Not yet.
I enjoyed that conversation, but it wasn't the same.
I enjoyed listening to it.
Did you?
Because and no to the people that asked, that was not me doing a shitty British accent.
No, there's no way that Dev knows any of those facts that ChatGPT dropped on this show. That is, if you listen to that show for 10 minutes, you knew that Dev was not that smart.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near that smart. I would love to be that smart, but I am nowhere near that smart. But yeah, ChatGPT, way to pick up the slack and carry the load.
Came through.
You can send your chiropractor bill to Kyle.
I'm glad to know that everything that was going on is straightened out in your life, and now we're back to recording. I love it.
As straight as a crooked road in West Virginia. That's about as straight as it's going to get. And I've come to those terms. That's life. It is a series of twisting, turning roads, like you chased a snake and made a paved path.
Everything you do in life now, at a bare minimum, is just content for this show.
Fair enough. I can accept that.
Yeah.
When I play golf, it's content, which I know we've talked off air about playing golf together. I know you're not a golfer. You're not a bowler, man.
I will walk around a golf course with you.
Oh, no, not walk. You got to get on a cart so you can drink.
Sure.
Because if you walk, that just burns off the alcohol. And then you're just wasting. That's alcohol abuse at that point.
I will drive around a golf course with you.
You can be my caddy.
Sure.
My chauffeur.
Yeah, both of those.
Yeah. You can tell me what club to hit.
I take a Mark Twain approach to golf. Mark Twain said that golf was a good walk spoiled.
That was before golf carts.
Well, now it's a good golf cart spoiled.
I would beg to differ. If you have never been on a golf course and driven a golf cart, you are missing out on one of the most fun 4 hours of a spring or summer day. Hell, even of a winter or a fall day. If it's brisk, not too cold, not too hot, like 50 degrees outside.
That's too
nice
cold.
Overcast, but not a wind. No, okay. Or maybe for, a team that, or a team. See, I'm already jumping the gun about what I'm about to say. For a man that lives in a city that can't keep a hockey team, that's too cold.
Are we losing our hockey team?
Yeah.
I haven't been paying attention. What happened? I know our hockey team sucks, but what happened to my hockey team?
Well, they've came out and said publicly in a statement that they're not leaving Arizona.
They came out? I thought that was just the Ducks.
That is all hockey. Hockey's inclusive now.
Good.
Hockey for all.
Good for hockey.
Hockey's for everyone. But they released a press statement.
But then, and they all came out in support of the Coyotes because the Coyotes came out. The 29 other teams are like, good for you, Coyotes.
Yeah, the Coyotes came out and said that they were staying in Florida, staying in Arizona. But yeah, you're supposedly not losing them yet, but you're losing them because Tempe had your vote recently and said that they don't want to build supposedly the greatest deal in arena history for the state of Arizona.
Who said that?
They didn't want any part of that.
The Coyotes said it
That's
was.
That's what I guess the mayor or governor, or not governor, mayor of Tempe, I'm assuming.
I guarantee you that it's the greatest deal in the history of arenas when it comes to what the mayor gets. I'm sure.
That would be my guess.
I'm sure that that's true. And I can't even name the mayor of Tempe. That's not where I live. So I'm not accusing the mayor of Tempe of anything dastardly. I'm just saying he was probably going to get box seats at a minimum.
Well, I would assume so. You would think that the mayor's box would be center ice, probably the largest suite in the arena, since he helped broker the deal.
Yeah, but he couldn't get it done.
I mean, that would be what I'd want if I were the mayor.
Sure.
I'd want the mayor's box to be the most badass box. And I'd want to host all kinds of people to come in and be like, hey, Amazon, you want to build a facility here? Come chill in my mayor's box at the hockey game.
They are doing some cool stuff in Tempe. They just got a new Fox, like Fox News, not Fox News, but the remainder of what is still Fox, the sports and the part that didn't go to Disney, that isn't Fox News, the remainder of Fox, which is like they do the regional sports networks and things are part of the Fox.
Like FSN.
Yeah, FSN.
Yeah.
They just built a new studio in Tempe. It's gorgeous.
Well, they might be doing cool stuff, but they're not doing cold stuff.
That's true. And in fact, the reason I know about that facility, that serendipitous that you tell me that, I was talking to a guy who was involved in its construction, right? So it's sort of adjacent to what I do. So I won't dox anybody, but I'll just tell you. And he said the facility has like 8 generators, and the specification for a size that they only need 2. They put in 8, and it's located in a section of Phoenix where the 2 independent power grids overlap. So they have a feed coming in from one power grid and another feed coming in from another power grid. So they can like lose power from only one power grid and still have municipal power, and then also have 8 generators. And it's a data center and also a studio. And so it has state of the art, like liquid cooling in the data center. And like, it's just stunning. And he said they scored a 98 out of 100 on their disaster recovery score. And
what did they miss the 2 points on?
Exactly what you were just talking about. They can't handle cold stuff. The inspector dinged them because the facility is not built to handle temperatures below 10 degrees Fahrenheit.
In the desert.
In the desert. I believe that it has never been 10 degrees Fahrenheit in Tempe since the inception of concrete. Even in the coldest of winters, they're like, oh shit, freeze warning. It might be 25 Fahrenheit tonight. It's never 10 Fahrenheit.
And that's in like the dead of night after the sun has been down for hours.
Absolutely.
That's the coldest it would get. Yeah.
The absolute coldest it ever gets is when it has been the longest period of time after the sun has gone or before the sun comes back up again. Like our low temperature is always at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, what you just said was Fox Sports is coming to Tempe.
Mm-hmm.
But then all I heard after that, as you were describing the building, was Skynet is being built officially in Tempe.
No, Skynet's being officially built in the outskirts of Seattle. That's where Microsoft is definitely putting in Skynet with their ChatGPT. Don't denigrate my former co-host on this show.
No. It is all a ruse. They're saying, oh yeah, it was Fox Sports. We got 2 power grids that overlap and 8 generators, and we only need 2. And we got a 98 out of 100. The only thing we didn't get good on is we're not prepared for the freezing cold.
And so now we know.
That's Skynet. That's Skynet.
When Skynet comes, we'll need to light off all the reactors and start isn't it starting the ice age? Isn't that how you get the robots to go? That's Matrix. That's not the Terminator.
Yeah, machines run better in cold. So that ChatGPT is probably dinged in on it and going, oh, we've got a 98 out of 100, not prepared for cold. We need cold. We want cold. Got to get that up to 100. They will be prepared once is the construction underway, or is it?
The studio's done
already? Because
we were touring it. They already got that grade to get that 98 out of 100. Got
to go in and do some cold blasting and shoring, I guess. I don't know.
Climate change, I think, is what that's what ChatGPT. If you see the ChatGPT is trying to cure climate change to make it cold in Phoenix again, then we'll know it's up to something nefarious.
And we'll know for sure that is Skynet. It's not Fox. That FSN, that's what it stands for. Fucking Skynet. It's not Fox Sports Network or Fox Sports News. It's fucking Skynet.
Yep. If the ChatGPT doesn't cure climate change, that's how you'll know that they're actually helping humans. This seems like a conflict of interest.
It does.
Now we're damned if we do and damned if we don't.
It doesn't see. It is a conflict of interest. But ChatGPT, I will say this. It did a lot of, and I told you this. It took your role and just steamrolled you.
It wouldn't shut the fuck up.
It did not want to shut up.
No,
though.
it didn't.
Like it did not want to have any kind of real back and forth with you. It just wanted to be like, oh, let me tell you this. And then you just sit there, human meatbag, and listen to me just drivel on and on and on about nothing.
And I will tell you're right. That's exactly my role on this show. And the other thing that I will tell you.
You have interesting things. You have interesting things to say. And you don't make up stories that are just obviously fabricated. And then go, no, that didn't really happen. Ha. I have my father. Ha.
That was
my mother.
Fucking weird. Like I just said in the prompt that I gave it, I just said like, tell interesting stories. And the first stories that it started out with were just, and then I was like, that really couldn't have happened. When it just said, I'm sure that it happened to someone.
Yeah. What? I'm like, okay, so where did you pull that story from?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I recorded that show live. Just using text to speech and speech to text back and forth. So that was not pre-scripted. All of my reactions were 100% real time. And then I went through. The only thing I did, actually, speaking of the fact that it was too verbose, is in post-production, I cut out like a bunch of boring shit that was in there. It just kept droning on a bunch, and I dropped a bunch of that. And what I left in the show was the best 45 minutes that I could leave. And so if you found any of that to be droning on, send an email in support of Dev to devnkylesta@gmail.com. Dev wants to read your fan mail. And if you want to send fan mail for ChatGPT, they'll come back on the show anytime I want.
We might have to hire ChatGPT as a producer, a full-time producer.
I was going to say that we might have to. That's true. I was checking on, so I asked it to fact check our first original fan, Dev, which, by the way, ChatGPT didn't even know any of our ceremonies, didn't know any of our rituals on the show.
I was like, what do you mean you don't listen?
So our very first fan, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Sent in a fact about emperor penguins having two stomachs. The ChatGPT just called him a fucking liar. And that first of all, I didn't think that was the right way to treat our first fan, regardless of whether or not he was like, you got to play it halfway. But going on Wikipedia, it turns out that they do in fact have a 2-chambered stomach, and food that is ground up by the gizzard does get stored in this first chamber and not digested in that chamber. And then they come back, content warning, they come back and retch it for their chicks, for their penguin babies. They don't just throw up on chicks. This isn't.
Yeah, they don't give me like, hey, baby.
This isn't this isn't the internet. This isn't two penguins or two hosts, one podcast.
I mean, it is the internet, but yeah.
It is the internet, but we don't let most of the internet on this show.
Thank God. We let enough of the internet in. We don't want any more.
Yeah, speaking of stories that I couldn't tell because ChatGPT would... I don't even have a joke for this story. I just need your reaction. I was driving to Vegas.
That's my reaction.
Just wait. I was driving to Vegas, and I happened to look out the window as I was driving past a motel. And there was a dude...
Hotel, Holiday Inn.
No, it wasn't a Holiday Inn. Trust me, it was not that good. There was a dude, shirtless, with an open cooler of beer next to him, like a regular, 20-size cooler, open, sitting in a chair in the parking lot next to his car. Now, you think all of this might be sort of normal, except that the chair he was in was very clearly like the chair that's in his motel room. So it wasn't like a folding chair. Like when you're outside, you're supposed to sit in a folding lawn chair.
Yeah.
And if you're going to have a cooler of beer, that's like the requirement. No. It was like the wooden sort of sit at your laptop desktop chair that he had taken from inside his motel room out into the parking lot and set it up next to his truck, took his shirt off, started cracking beers, and it was 9:30 in the morning.
The guy is resourceful, if nothing else, but he doesn't come planned with a folding lawn chair in his car. He just uses what he's got.
And he clearly had the beer, which is the priority.
Well, yeah, he spent the money on the one necessity he needs. He's got a chair at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
He's already paid for the room. He can use the chair however he wishes, as long as he keeps the chair there and doesn't take it with him when he leaves.
I don't think that the motel...
And even then, he could probably take it with him. I don't think... I've never heard of anybody taking furniture.
You cannot take the chair. The chair is not like the shampoo packets. You can't just take the chair.
Or the robe or the toothbrush or anything. But I've never heard of anybody taking a chair. I mean, what if you took a chair? Would you be like, I came back and my chair wasn't there? I don't know what happened. As long as you got it out without anyone seeing, would they charge you? If it's, depending on the hotel, would it just be one of those things to be like, I guess housekeeping came in and took it and just moved it around. We'll find another chair. No biggie.
I think it would cause a mystery because no one would be willing to look you in the face and be like, you took that chair.
Right. Because no one would have the audacity to take a piece of furniture from a hotel.
That's right.
So the fact that right there gives you a greater chance of being successful in taking a chair.
Huge alibi. When you invent a new crime to commit that no person has ever done before, that gives you a lot of alibi. If you just look somebody in the face and be like, who would do that?
And then the initial reaction is, yeah, who would do that? Not me. Of course I wouldn't do that. But if you were to, would it become a chargeable offense? Or would they unleash an investigation on you to find out if you took it? Nowadays, it's a less probable success now, given cameras and cell phone footage and the like. They could just go to the footage and go, you obviously took it.
Let's go to that beautiful motel footage.
20, 30 years ago,
yeah,
he could have taken the chair just willy-nilly. Regardless, I digress. Man sitting outside, drinking beer.
That was the whole story.
Resourceful guy. He's a resourceful guy. Yeah. I applaud him.
That's it. I was going past him at 75 miles an hour, and I spent the whole time that I was adjacent to the hotel just staring out my window at him as soon as I grokked the type of chair he was in.
I think he has a higher level of class sitting outside in the chair from the hotel room drinking his beer without his shirt on, rather than sitting in the hotel room just laying in his bed without his shirt on, drinking the beer from a cooler, watching the TV.
You think that's classier?
He's a man of class and culture. Maybe not class, of culture. He wants to see the world. He doesn't want to be boxed in a shitty hotel room on the side of the road in Vegas.
I just sort of assumed that the hotel room didn't provide air conditioning and that it was nicer outside.
Probably that too.
Based on looking at the hotel, like motel, whatever it is.
Not Holiday Inn.
It was not a Holiday Inn.
Not a Holiday Inn Express.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. It is drink 30 time. What are you drinking? I'm seeing you sipping on bourbon. It is
bourbon. I got a bottle of Buffalo Trace. I needed to check with you to see if that was good bourbon or not. It tastes like good bourbon.
It's a good go-to. Buffalo Trace, owned by Sazerac. The distillery is in Frankfurt. They make Pappy Van Winkle.
They do?
And Weller. And yeah, they make a lot of different bourbons. And they all come from two different mash bills. So it's either a wheated or a rye mash bill. So all the bourbons are one of those two. And then the only difference really is the slight amount of maybe other filler. Honestly, after you take the mash bill, the only difference is where they put it in a barrel and store it. Which Rick House is it going to? And how long is it going to stay in there?
I'm suddenly having ChatGPT flashbacks. The amount of information that's coming at me right now from my co-host is overwhelming. I've had too much bourbon for you to tell me that much about bourbon.
I can tell you anything you want to know about bourbon. I love bourbon.
Where can I get my next bourbon?
I live in the bourbon. I live in the bourbon state.
I think you love in the bourbon state too.
I love in the bourbon. Yeah, I live in the bourbon state. And oddly enough, you can't find half of the good bourbon here because it's all shipped out. And people come from miles around thinking, oh, if I go to the source, I can get it easily. No, nope. Stop coming here looking for my bourbon. Just go and get it in your freaking piddly liquor stores around your house.
It's not in the piddly liquor stores around my house either.
Stop coming here. I'd like to be able to get it. Well, it's a problem. It's a problem because secondary market, because of the Pappy Van Winkles and all these new artisan bourbons that have popped up, and people have found out, oh, they can charge $100 for it on the retail shelf. So people will go out and buy it and then turn around and go on Facebook and other places and sell it for $400,000, $500,000 of dollars for a bottle.
Oh.
Pappy Van Winkle. You cannot find a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle at retail, period, unless you just get lucky at a lottery or something.
Yeah.
And then you're paying, a couple $100 for a bottle. Then on retail or secondary market, you're looking bare minimum, probably $1,200 for a bottle.
Damn.
Of the 23. Yeah.
I've never had,
ain't worth it.
I've never had the 23. I have had, there's like there's a younger one, like an 11 or something like that.
There's several different ones. They've got Rip Van Winkle, which is a 10-year. Old Rip Van Winkle is a 10-year. Then they have 15-year, 20, and 25.
I think I just had the 10, and it was great.
And a 12. Yeah, there's a 12 too. That's Van Winkle Estate, I think. I don't know. I've gotten so out of the bourbon chasing.
I thought you knew. Just like 30 seconds ago, you said you knew.
I've gotten so out of the bourbon chasing, and I'm drinking a Transfusion right now, so I can't be held accountable for my knowledge at the moment.
What's a Transfusion?
I'm glad you asked. It has become my drink of summer now.
Nice.
I found out about it watching a golf YouTube channel, and these guys were drinking tequila transfusions. So I Googled it, and it turns out you can make a transfusion with tequila or vodka, and you take a shot glass of grape juice, Concord grape juice, and then 1 or 2 shots of tequila or vodka, a couple splashes of lime juice, and then ginger ale, mix it up. It looks like blood in a blood bag, and it tastes friggin' amazing. If you want a little bit sweeter, add another shot of grape juice.
Grape juice and tequila?
Or vodka, yeah.
I mean, like, I'll try it. I'm not...
And ginger ale, I'm telling you.
I'm too old to prejudge anything. I'll try it. But I don't have high hopes going in to a drink that is primarily grape juice and tequila.
Ginger ale.
That just seems like you're shortcutting to wine.
No, it's kind of it's more ginger ale than grape juice. So you want to feel like the ginger ale.
I wouldn't mix ginger ale with grape juice. Never mind the tequila.
I didn't think it was going to be good either. I tried it with tequila first, and I tried it with vodka first.
Okay.
And the vodka, you could not taste it at all. It was...
Sure, that's what you say about vodka when you just drink it straight. You can't taste it at all. That's their marketing slogan.
It was sweet and fizzy and fruity, and like the lime juice in it kind of gave it an extra pop. It was really good and refreshing, and I downed one real quick, and I was like, yeah, this is great. And I was outside and sweating, and then I started drinking another one, and that was not a good idea. They are stout.
Came back on you?
Make it pre-mixed and put it in a jug, and then take it out on a course and just start pouring it into a glass of ice. It gets dangerous real quick. But the tequila adds a little bit more flavor to it. It's more of a sipper, but it's still really, really good. And this is 1,800 tequila in here. It's delicious.
1,800 milliliters of tequila?
I would be dead.
Yeah. Not if you drank it slow enough.
I'm not drinking it too slow.
I guarantee you that I've had more than 1,800 milliliters of tequila in my life.
Yeah, probably in the past couple months, I've had more than that. I mean, we just got out of Cinco De Mayo, and we're always going to Mexican for dinner. So
do they do
1,800 milliliters? That's quick.
You did get out of Cinco de Mayo, but do they do tequila at the Thurby? Because that's got to be a dangerous couple of weeks in Kentucky to do Cinco de Mayo straight into the Derby.
Well, when Cinco de Mayo falls on the Derby, like it will next year, that's going to be real dangerous. Actually, will it fall next year?
I don't know.
Wait, this year, Cinco de Mayo was on Friday, right?
I don't know.
Or was it on? I can't remember what Cinco de Mayo was on. And it was
Cinco de Mayo was May 5th.
Well, yes, of course it was May 5th because it's the 5th May. Oh my God. It was Friday.
Yeah, it was
Friday this year. So next year it will fall on Derby, which means it is going to be.
Is it always the first Saturday in May?
Always the first Saturday in May. So it could be May 1st. It could be May 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th.
You are wrong because the calendar shifts. Next year is a leap year.
Oh, it's a leap year.
It's a leap year, so it skips.
It will miss. Damn. That.
Oh. You got to wake up Sunday morning fully derbied out and go straight into Cinco de Mayo.
That's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
That's going to be brutal.
Because this year, it was the same thing, right? You started on Cinco de Mayo and then went straight into the Derby.
Yeah.
So you don't get the respite in the middle of having it be on the same day. You have back-to-back days 2 years in a row. You're going to die.
Well, last year, Cinco de Mayo fell on Thurby, which has become another big day at the track for locals.
Yeah.
It's almost like Derby light. I mean, it pretty much sells out almost. Everybody gets dressed up. Everybody gets hammered. Most of the seats come with all you can drink and all you can eat until 4:00
in the morning.
No, in the afternoon. Like from the time the gates open at like 10 until 4 in the afternoon, all you can eat and drink.
Damn. This Thurby sounds great. This is the second time I've heard about Thurby because this show has been going on for so long.
Yeah. I lost count of beers on Thursday this year. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's why you couldn't be on the show.
And at 4:00, at 4:00 when they cut off and it turned over to Cash Bar, we just started finding some servers when they were coming out with the beer buckets to go around and sell them for cash. And we were just grabbing them out and going, thanks, and walking away.
How did that work?
And they would just go, okay. They just turn around, go back and fill them up. And people would just come and swarm them and grab them. And
shit.
They didn't sell a single one. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. They lost money for sure on booze this year because people just got fed up. The lines were so long and just some sections, they had great service. Everybody was just popping it out. Mm-hmm. They had it set up to where they would get beers out and line them up in what kind of beer it was. And they were already cracking the tops and just bam, bam, bam. So you just have to come up and grab it and walk off. You could just grab as many as you wanted. And then if you wanted a mixed drink, they were pre-making mixed drink. So you would just come up and grab it off the counter. And then you'd go to other places and it was like a typical bar where you'd come up and say, I want this. And then they turn around and go get it and come back. And I'm like, you all are making this so much more difficult on yourself. People aren't tipping as much over here as they were over. I mean, over on the other side, people were just like throwing 20s and 50s in the bowl. Like,
shit. All
right, I'm going to grab all I want. I'll just go ahead and tip you now because you guys are killing it.
Throwing the keys in the bowl.
And you go to another section of the track. Yeah. And people are like, going to serve you like we're serving normal. Yeah. It made no sense.
Some waiters get with it and some waiters don't. But what you're describing is the typical American response to an all-you-can-drink situation. So I think I've mentioned on the show that I lived in Japan for a while. One of the like go-to meal choices, like all the time, you can get a hold of, you just go to a restaurant and you can sit down and you can get a restaurant service. And it'll either be, the most common form of it is a set table menu and then all you can drink added to that set. So like fixed menu, they bring out a series, like per person, they bring out a series of appetizers and sort of a main entree course. But during that time, they'll do like 2 hours fixed menu and all you can drink. Or you can also find places that'll do all you can eat and all you can drink during that time. And there's no limits. So they'll just bring you like Scotch highballs, which is one of the most popular drinks in Japan, just the go-to Suntory whiskey with club soda in it, in a pint glass with ice, is a highball.
Ugh.
And God, I've had so many highballs in my life now. Because remember, I'm doing this on an expense account, taking people out to impress them, taking them out to these restaurants.
Free.
Yeah, and then it's unlimited booze. But the trick about it is every time an American would come and be like, yeah, we're going to dinner tonight, and I'd tell them we're going to an all-you-can-drink dinner, the Americans would say, you do all-you-can-drink dinner? Like immediately, this is what separates Americans from the rest of the world, is why we can't have nice things. There's certain cultural touchstones that every culture has. And for our international audience, I want to explain to you what the cultural touchstone of America is. And here's what it is, because I've thought a lot about this, about like what defines an American versus any other culture. Americans believe that the rules don't apply to them, just in general, throughout life. And this has both good and bad consequences, because it's why Americans have invented so many things, right? Because an American scientist goes into the lab and gets told the rules of physics and fundamentally is like, no, those don't apply to me. They get told by somebody like, you can't make a nuclear bomb. Fucking watch me. We do it. Yeah. And you get them. And then on the flip side, they tell you, oh, it's all you can drink, but it's a 25 drink minimum. Fuck you. Rules don't apply to me. So it's both ends of the spectrum. You get everything it means to be an American. You want anyway, I'll move away from that one. But you get into this all you can drink situation. Every American just assumes that if you go to an all you can drink dinner place and you get all you can drink for 2 hours, that what you need to do is just ask for 15 shots up front and then decide what you want to drink after you're done with those. And that's not how any civilized person, and maybe Australians, but any civilized person, I said civilized, so I already eliminated Australians. Yeah. Thinks about going to an all you can drink restaurant. They're like, yeah, I'll just have as many drinks as I want, one at a time. And that's not what Americans think. And so I would always have to dissuade these otherwise professional people who would come to Japan like, oh, hey, thanks for coming. We're going to take you on the dog and pony shows, show you off to all our customers, and we're going to go out to dinner. And I do just want to let you know, because I'm the American guy here, but I have some experience. Let me tell you how things are going to be different. It's going to be all you can drink. And you could see it in their eyes if they were a drinker every time. They just got like 15% bigger. What? Yeah. And slow your roll when we get there, because you're going to order one drink at a time. And it's not cool to order 2 drinks at a time. Oh, you're not. Yeah. It's not like going and getting in line where, all right, go ahead and get 2. So when you're done with the first one, you can go back and get in line and finish the second one while you're in line. No, that's not how this works. It's not the sports drinking mentality. Yeah. Which that's another thing. We take drinking almost as a competition. Yes. Even if it's not. It's like it's been ingrained in us that when you drink. Yeah, we'll compete on anything. Yeah. Go as hard as you can, as long as you can. You've got to outdrink everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even a person that likes to try to outdrink people, but when I get around people and I start drinking, it just happens. Yeah. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I don't want to be drinking like this, but I do it. I mean, not that I don't have fun, but sure, it's just a cultural thing. And we have this need for excess almost. And you give us something there's no cap on it, and we're going to go, all right, I'm going to take it until you tell me I can't anymore. Yeah. And then I'm going to get pissed off that you told me I can't, because you told me at the beginning that there wasn't a cap. Yeah. Rules don't apply to me. All I can. Yeah. Exactly. When they told you the cash bar got cut off, you and every other person were like, yeah, watch me. And boom, you accomplished it. That's fundamentally what it means to be an American. You walk into a situation, somebody says, you can't do it that way. And our immediate ingrained response, it should be the final words in the Star Spangled Banner. And the home of the watch me. That's how it should go. Of the entitled. Yeah. Of the home of the entitled. Yeah. The home of the entitled. That's true too. Because the rules don't apply. I'm entitled. I can do whatever I want to. You have given me a limitless path. I am going to find that there is a limit somewhere on there. Watch. Yeah, and then you end up puking the next day. I have been more hungover in Japan than I have ever been anywhere in my entire life. I'll just let that. Not because I broke the rules. I ordered one drink at a time. It was just one drink at a time for 7 hours straight. Always a drink in my hand. Always. That's Derby week. That's the entire week. How'd you do on the Derby? Did you not make any bets? Because you promised me last year that you were going to make the mega parlay and that this would become our full-time job because you hit your and 800,000 trifecta.
I started betting on races earlier in the day on Derby Day. Like we went to Thurby and I bet on the Oaks on Friday, but I didn't win big. I won a couple on Thurby, but just broke even. And then Friday I didn't win. And I didn't win a single race on Saturday. Not a single race. And I bet on almost every race up to Derby.
Well, not
a single race.
I'm glad I didn't follow your picks because we got Sportsbook in Arizona and they were all over telling me all the promos I could win. And I asked you and I didn't get a response back from you because I asked you on Thursday and you had already started drinking. And so I never got your response back for 4 days. I thought you were dead Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
I didn't have a good pick. I missed all of my superfectas by one horse.
Oh.
I had 3 of the 4 in every bet that I placed. And the biggest bet that I missed out on was a 10-cent bet that would have paid $45,000 on a race that was like around 1:00.
And you missed, but you only missed one horse?
I missed one horse. Yep. If I would have just paid a little bit more and added another horse on there, because I was thinking about adding a 5th horse, and the 5th horse I was going to add was the horse that won it.
Ooh.
Because I liked his name. It was like something like No Nuts or something. And I thought it was funny.
Yeah, sure it is.
No Nuts.
You're right.
Yeah. I can't remember it. But because I've been drinking.
Do Derby horses have nuts? Or do they neuter? Oh, I don't know what the term is. Do you neuter a horse? I don't know.
No, because they go into stud.
Oh, because you got to stud them out after they win. Yeah, so you would never neuter a racehorse. And so he was called No Nuts even though he had nuts? That's false advertising.
Or something about nuts. I couldn't remember the name, but I thought it was funny. And I almost picked it. And I was like, nah, because he was a long shot. He was like a 32-1. And I went, I'm not going to throw him on there. And then I went, I should up the bet and just throw the other horse on there. It's going to add like an extra $4 or something. And I didn't do it.
So what was the bet that you made? Like, did you have to pick the correct order?
No, I just did a superfecta box. So I picked 4 horses and they could finish in any order, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay.
And as long as they finished in the top 4, then you went out.
And if you had added the 5th horse, would you only needed to get 4 of those horses in the box?
Yep.
Oh. That's easier though. There can be one loser.
But it costs more.
Oh, well, sure.
It exponentially adds in there because you've got to think you're paying 10 cents on every or dollar. That was actually $1 because you can't do 10 cents on Derby because that was $1. That was why I was like, no, it was more than that.
That's how they got you to pay for the booze.
But yeah, you pay $1 for every possible combination for those horses to finish 1, 2, 3, 4 when you do a box.
That's way more than a dime. That's like a $17 bet.
Yeah. Like $24 for a $1 box.
$24 for a $1 box. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Because it's 4 times. Yeah.
So if I'd added another horse, then that would have added on another
5 times 4 times 3 times 2.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
It's
like 100.
It's 24 times 5. It would have been $120.
Yeah. 120. So yeah, if I'd have paid 120 out of 145,000.
That seems like you should just do that. That you should have done that. Go back in time and do that.
No, I should have done that. Just like last year, I should have just paid that $20 straight
on the horse to win
superfecta. And no, not on the horse to win, on the superfecta straight that I was just going to do for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
And my buddy was like, no, just give me $20 and I'll go throw it in the toilet for you.
What a jerk.
It's like, you've already bet a bunch.
Yeah. See, I'm just going to be your enabler. Your buddy, just call me. Be like, hey, should I add this other horse and 5x the cost of my bet? Yes, you should.
Yeah.
Because
I should have.
Never doubt yourself on a bet, Dev. That's the problem. Every story you ever tell, that's 3 years in a row, I think, that I've heard. Every story you ever tell about the Derby is always, I was gonna, but then I didn't. I doubted myself, and I'm still have 2 jobs as a podcaster and my other job. That's That should just be, that's going to be the title of your book. I doubted myself, and so I had to have 2 jobs.
I think I need to come up with something a little bit more punchier than that. I doubted myself, so now I'm fucked.
Well, that sounds more fun. By the time you're writing a book, though, you won't be fucked. That'll be like somehow the ship has come in on this show.
Doubts to dollars.
Doubts to dollars. There
Doubts
you go.
To dollars.
There you go. Ooh. I like it. I like, you know who didn't get their dollars, Dev? Well, in this case, they didn't get their pounds. The London Metal Exchange. This is a true story. This is a great segue, but it's a true story. The London Metal Exchange has had to significantly reevaluate a portion of their portfolio because they went into the warehouse. And so instead of having all their futures contracts and all that crazy shit, derivatives markets, it all does in fact come down to some physical inventory on the metal exchange, the London Metal Exchange. And so they had a warehouse, and in that warehouse, in the inventory, was bags of nickel. Now, it wasn't nickels, right? It wasn't just giant bags of like US nickels.
5-cent nickels.
5-cent nickels. No. It was.
Because why would London have US nickels?
I don't know why they would do that. But, you know, stock exchanges will really trade anything. So when anything has value, I don't doubt it. JP Morgan Chase thought they had $1.3 million worth of nickel stored in a warehouse on the London Monetary Exchange. And somebody was like, I'm just going to open these bags real quick. And they were full of rocks.
Wait, what?
Yep. The bags contained stones instead of nickels.
Is this recent?
At a warehouse in the Dutch port city of Rotterdam. An operator for the warehouse weighed bags that were thought to contain 54 metric tons of nickel, only to find out that those bags were filled with 54 metric tons of stones.
How is that? What kind of oversight goes into? Or maybe they looked in it when they weighed it. And went,
yeah, that's what they did. Yeah. They looked at it when they weighed it.
I guess it looks like, it's like, oh, I guess that's supposed to be what nickel looks like. Because how long had they had it in their possession before they went to check?
They were moving it from one to another. They did not say how long. JP Morgan bought the bags years ago, is what is said. And they were transferred from one warehouse to another. And at the new warehouse, they weighed them. This is a very small percentage, but when it's a percentage of what is being talked about, it's crazy. The bags represented 0.14% of all of the nickel in the world.
I mean, still, that's
like a shitload of nickel.
0.1%. Yeah.
Yeah. A tenth of a percent of all the nickel. Oops. Just kidding. It's stones.
It's not. You thought it was.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
It's just rocks. Kick rocks.
Yeah. It doesn't say
pound rocks.
No, it does. It does say 54 metric tons of nickel. Now, as a guy who has paid to have rock put in, like landscaping rock put in, this might actually be a boon for JP Morgan, because I guarantee you at the prices that I paid for landscaping rock, that 54 metric tons of landscaping rock is worth more than $1.3 million. Just in my rough math estimation, because it felt like I paid a whole lot for landscaping rock, like it was a precious metal when I paid that price.
So what do the futures look like on landscaping rock?
They have never gone down. If you can invest in landscaping rock, do it, because everybody in Arizona is getting tax incentives to get rid of their lawn to put in landscaping rock. Just bring the whole, just rip out all the turf and put in landscaping rock. And that shit is maybe not more expensive than gold, but I bet it's more expensive than nickel.
I mean, if you could do a quick conversion and see what the $1.3 million and how many metric tons?
54.
Do the math on that.
Mm-hmm. I'm not Googling that.
And then do the math on what you paid for your rock, and then see what the conversion is.
I'll put that in the show notes. I'll ask ChatGPT what the answer to that question is.
Yeah, ask ChatGPT.
It doesn't do math well.
Have it do something.
No, it doesn't do math well. I was talking to a woman. I was talking to a woman at my kid's sports deck, and she was saying like, "Oh, did you see that?" She's an accountant, so she was like, home teaming it here. Did you see that it passed the bar? And I was like, yeah. it's pretty good at answering those legal questions and passing college tests. She's like, well, they gave it the accounting test and it only got a 34%. I was like, I don't want to burst your bubble, but that's because the accounting test is filled with math and it's actually really bad at math. And there's a whole boring reason about why the AI language models are bad at math. But conceptually, computers are not bad at math. And so when they fuse together these language models and just have the language model get to a point in its decision matrix like, oh, I just need to do some math real quick, and then send that to a regular, boring old computer to do the math and then get the right answer back, which is not what they're doing right now. Accountants are fucked. And I told her that. And the look on her face was like she thought she could cruise to retirement because it was failing the test at a 34%. And then that meant she had 5 or 10 years. I was like, no, they've already solved computers being good at math. And now they've solved computers being good at reading questions. So you're in real trouble. If you're a child who's listening to Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse, first of all, go talk to your parents because you should not be listening to this show. Stop doing that.
Yes, you should not be listening to this. And I apologize for all the inappropriate things I've said and you've learned through your listening. But go talk to your parents.
Go talk to your parents.
Tell your parents to listen every time we have a new episode.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to it multiple times.
Yeah.
Use our sponsors.
Absolutely.
Please.
They should do that.
Yes. But you stop.
Yeah. If you don't have any money, you're useless to our sponsors. So stop listening to this show.
Yes.
But
exactly.
also
unless you can get your parents' credit card, then go. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, fine.
Don't do that.
Fine. Don't do that. Go to your parents and have your parents tell you not to become an accountant if you're a child right now.
Yes.
Because that job is dead. Don't be a truck driver. Don't be an accountant. Don't be a paralegal. Those are not jobs for the future anymore.
Or it looks like chef, because I saw that there was a fully automated McDonald's.
Yep.
That does everything. You just show up, no human interaction. Robot makes your Big Mac and your fries. Yep.
That sounds great.
Get ready for complete efficiency a la Wall-E.
But I will tell you, the restaurants that I think are going to compete are going to be the restaurants that already have the open kitchen. Because I think immediately it's going to be like hipsters clamoring to have humans cook their food. So that'll be that's the first thing that immediately happens is, ooh, it's like a museum. Look, they're forcing people to do the jobs that people used to have to do. See, Timmy, this is what it was like in the before times. Like how I talk to my children about over-the-air TV when I tell them, like, yeah, like your show just wasn't on and you couldn't watch it. That'll be how my children talk to their children about chef, like line cooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it used to be that anytime you wanted food, you just had to ask a person and give them money for it. Nope.
Now you just go up and touch the screen and then it pops out over here from this drawer.
Bleep, 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 bleep.
You know what time it is?
I do know what time it is.
Yeah. Joke time. Please laugh.
Aha.
As amazing as the future is going to be, Dev, do you know what's more amazing than the future?
The past?
No.
The present?
Yes. And currently, in the present, in this episode, Liquid IV is still here. How shocking is that? It's amazing.
As shocking as lemon lime in your drink.
Did you do that? Did you put lemon lime
it's refreshing
in your transfusion? Did you do a Liquid IV transfusion?
I did. Not this one, but I have.
How was it?
I did. Quite refreshing. The lemon lime is my favorite flavor.
Oh.
Hands down. Hands down. I love it.
Last week, ChatGPT, I was like, hey, what's your favorite flavor? And they admitted some jealousy about human beings, that they had no sense of taste.
Should be jealous because Liquid IV's lemon lime is amazing.
That's awesome.
It is.
I'm still rocking the yuzu pineapple, but I said last week I've added sea berry to my favorite repertoire. And the sea berry one comes... Have you gotten the sea berry yet?
I have not.
It comes in like a different packet that's like sort of like a cardboardy type packet instead of the plastic.
Oh.
And that's like part of their, like if you go to liquidiv.com and you click on their impact statements, you can read the part about how Seaberry was inspired by one of their trips. But in addition to the mission to rehydrate the planet, you can also read about how they started with Seaberry and then they're looking in their manufacturing system to do there's like way less plastic, because the one is, I have no idea. I didn't read the stats. I don't want to say it wrong. It's made out of a predominantly paper material and says made with recycled components on the packaging. And then it's not the like plastic tinfoil-y pouch that the rest of the flavors are in. And they say that they're going to move to that with the rest of them.
Hey, Liquid IV, good for you, good for the planet.
I think that that's 100% true. And it is good for you. There's 12 flavors, 5 essential vitamins, and 3 times the electrolytes of sports drinks.
3 times the electrolytes.
I'm sorry. I can't even with you right now.
And it tastes so much better than your average run-of-the-mill sports drink.
That is true.
And all you've got to do is add it to water, stir it up, and enjoy.
That tasting better, maybe I'm an adult now, but I directly think that the tasting better is because of the less sugar.
Yes.
And
hands down.
I will also say, I don't drink fake sugar. All the diet drinks and the thing, like I know that that's important to some people. My personal deal is that I don't drink fake sugar. That's my one rule in life. The less sugar in the Liquid IV is not a result of throwing in some fake sugar. The primary ingredient is still sugar. There's just less of it. Like when you read the thing, there's just less of it and the flavor rocks it out.
There you go. Liquid IV, good for you, good for the planet. Tell the folks where they can get some Liquid IV.
I'm going to, Dev. Thank you for throwing it to me. Right now, get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use promo code DEVandKyle. That's DEVANDKYLE at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code DEVandKyle at liquidiv.com. You need to get hydrated anyway. Water you waiting for?
Hydrate or dihydrate. Liquid IV.
Hydrate or dihydrate. Well, it's joke time, Dev. I did mention to you that I was in New Orleans and I heard a very famous story of there's a very famous sort of streetcar situation here in New Orleans. And so
Name Desire?
It's not Name Desire. I think that I don't know anything about that movie, but I don't think it's New Orleans.
Stella.
There's a famous streetcar conductor. And one of the tour guides told me, so it was this guy, Marcel, his whole life, he grew up in New Orleans. He saw the streetcar for the first time. You know, the story goes that he was just enamored. He had to get a hold of being a streetcar conductor. So he grew up, did everything that he needed to do. Everybody said that he was the most personable, that he was, absolutely just treated everyone who got on his streetcar like they were a guest in his own home. Just a great guy, but he could not get a hold of the technicalities of being a streetcar driver. Like you have to adjust the acceleration, you've got to move it, and it's crazy. And like this part of the story is 100% true for the story. He left the accelerator on full acceleration as it was supposed to go around a curve. It jumps the tracks, crashes through a building. Every single person on the streetcar died. He survived. No one really knows how. It's just slaughterhouse. He gets arrested. Jeez. He was put in prison and they put him on death row. And so the story goes that like they came to him and they were like, hey, what do you want for your last meal? And he said, I want a rotten fish and an old tomato. And he carried that with him to the electric chair chamber and brought the hat down, strapped him in, threw the switch. All the lights go dark, turned the switch back on, and Marcel was still alive. And they didn't know what to do. Like it's against, so like, yeah, no, they put him in the electric chair. And like, according to the law, right, you're supposed to be in the electric chair. And then after they run the electric chair, like that's your sentence. It's actually, apparently it's like this whole Supreme Court thing that like once your sentence is completed, you have to be let out. Like it's like Fifth Amendment or some crazy shit. And so he had to be released from prison, even though he wasn't dead, because what they said is that we're going to put you in the electric chair. That's your punishment. And we're going to turn the electric chair on. They did that. He was still alive. So they're like, all right, I guess we got to let you go. So he's, ashamed. They run him out of town. He ends up in San Francisco. He goes to San Francisco. He's like, I love streetcars. This is before the internet. So like the total, the whole thing doesn't go. He becomes a streetcar conductor in San Francisco and everybody loves him. Same story, right? Welcomes people onto his streetcars and it crashes. And by the time, so he crashes another streetcar and everyone dies in San Francisco as well. He does the same thing again, like leaves the accelerator on when it's supposed to make a curve. It's gone. And they put him in jail and they put him on death row again. And the warden at the San Francisco jail, I think it was Alcatraz, but that's not part of the story that they said. They said San Francisco jail. I don't know where that is. He heard what had happened in New Orleans and he ordered a complete blackout for the city of San Francisco so that they had all of the power available to the San Francisco prison in order to like make this happen.
Little overkill.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's hoping for, right? Is some overkill. So first of all, they ask him his last meal, rotten fish and an old tomato. He carries that with him into the room and they throw the switch and all the lights go out and they flip it back on and Marcel is still there in the chair. And they're like, oh my God, like what the fuck? And it's still San Francisco. Supreme Court has already ruled in Marcel's favor. And it turns out that whatever they ended up having, they like just deported him from America. They're like, just get out of the country. Like, we don't even need you here anymore. Like, we don't know what to do with you. We have clearly screwed up somehow. Just get out of America. And they're like, where do you want to go? And I guess it's like the 50s. It must be how this story works out because he asks to go to Japan. And so because World War II was just over and like the United States is still running Japan sort of as they're developing their constitution, like, America is sort of separating themselves from Japan, but there's still a very strong military presence in Japan, U.S. military presence. He goes to Japan because Japan also has streetcars because he's like, I'm going to be a conductor. So, but they're like, come on, dude, come on. He's like, I'm reformed. I know what I did wrong. So they get him a job, like, and they set him up and like, the Japanese, like they're trying to rebuild their infrastructure. They don't have a lot of highly trained people. Marcel's been trained twice now to be a streetcar conductor. They're like, okay, you can be a streetcar conductor. He kills a streetcar full of people.
Third time's a charm. Not so much.
Third time's a charm. And so finally, like all this whole process and being on death row 2 times and the whole thing. And he gets the military to step back in. And he's like, I can't. And the Japanese people are like, we're just going to cut your head off with a sword. And he's like, no. And he like parlays it into an extradition. He gets out of Japan. He gets back to America. But he finally decides like, I'm retired. Like I can't do this anymore. I've killed 200 people in my career as a streetcar conductor. And the story goes that he was sitting with his friend and his friend was like, how did that happen? Like, how did you survive death row twice? And Marcel looks at them and he goes, I don't know. I guess I'm just a bad conductor.
I thought there was going to be something with the fish and the tomato. I was like, there's got to be some point for this fish and tomato. No, the obvious, it was there all along. Just a bad conductor.
He's a bad conductor, Dev.
He was a bad conductor. Oh, dear Lord. That was not what I was expecting. That was not what I was expecting. That was a twist and turn of a streetcar, not named Desire.
Nope.
That
streetcar conductor named Marcel.
Well.
Well, we did.
Well.
We did joke time pretty late in the show, Dev, and I need to go catch a flight.
You better go catch it before it gets away, and then you're stuck on the ground.
That is true. That actually happens with flights. So all that is left for us to say is, I have been Kyle.
I have been Dev, not ChatGPT.
Finally, thank God. And we have attempted to start the apocalypse. Good night, everybody.
I'm ChatGPT.
Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse is brought to you every other week with a full archive available at devnkyle.com. The Apocalypse theme and other music in the show is written and performed by Chase Noseworthy. He's Chase Noseworthy on YouTube or at NoseworthyChase on Twitter. All graphic design for Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse has been created by Dead Vision. Find her work on Twitter and Insta at XDADOTTER and book her immense talents at xdadotter.com. Audio engineering provided by Cassandra Umsong. She can make you sound even better than Dev and Kyle because you'll provide much better raw materials. Get in touch with her on Twitter at coffeewithcoom. That's coffee with COUM. Dev and Kyle support artists and creatives of all types. Exposure is for film. Artists need compensation. If you're interested in becoming an apocalypto to help keep supporting all of the artists who make Dev and Kyle sound passably professional, please consider becoming a sustaining patron at patreon.com/devandkyle. Show notes, transcripts, and any other information from this episode should be available at devandkyle.com if Dev and or Kyle did their job. Fingers crossed. Finally, deeply and sincerely, Dev and Kyle think that you are a wonderful person who deserves love and compassion. We hope our small gift of what we consider interesting or entertaining has made your day even the tiniest bit better. Thank you for liking or subscribing in your favorite podcast app. And if you think others may want to know about this show, consider leaving a review in that same podcast app. It really helps us spread the word. Thank you.